If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Lawful Stupid just jumped over. First of all, it's free, and we love that. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, wherever you're at, on the go. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. There are a lot of other vendors out there, a lot of platforms that they will make sure your podcast gets to. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with zero minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Last time on Lawful Stupid.
It was a great war, or battle anyway. It's not a great war.
Is that really the first thing your mind goes to as the important thing that happened to you last episode?
Devin, I know you're blocking it out right now, but what happened to Atlas last episode?
Yeah, he lost one of the most important people in his life. Like Henry Teresa Yarg.
Crystal.
Well, let's talk about Henry and Teresa for a minute. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What, you son of a...
Remember the missing children?
That's right, you guys haven't resolved that either.
Hey, we won't.
Yeah. Probably not.
So Atlas loses Yarg. These giant creatures are just stomping about everywhere at Oxbane. I end up fighting two with the help of these two halflings and another tiefling that shows up along with Kristoff and Rowan.
Yeah, those two
and
halflings,
Taringa.
by the way. Jodo. And Gidgaza, who are supporters of the show. Huge, amazing artist people. We love them very much. That is D&D and Doodles and Gidgaza, respectively, on Instagram, along with the help of the Tiefling Bard.
Lance,
who's Altian Space Prince on Instagram. Huge fan. Love you very much.
Yeah, he's awesome. Awesome dude.
Yeah, so we're faced with, after we beat these two that invade the Golden Hammer, there are several battles going on. Findle's got his own, and he's surrounded by a ton of these creatures. Then there are some townspeople who have their thing going on. There is Svan, who has a few that he's fighting off. And then also...
Renoir,
that's it. Renoir is fighting off a few. And so Kristoff has this brilliant plan. He orchestrates very well. And we all run off to our separate areas. We manage to subdue the creatures we're fighting. We see Findle just explode like spirit bomb at several of these creatures. And we managed to get to a city wall, and we're all hunkered down. There are several other people from town who made it here, several who didn't.
Platform 9 3/4 our way through the city wall into the hidden cave hideout.
Thank you, Findle.
Thanks, Findle. Thanks, DM. We find the Magister. We find, townsfolk that are there. We find Eckenbar, and that's where we left off.
Yeah.
Sure. It was good time had by all.
Really good.
Maybe not Atlas. That might not have been a great time for him. But that was actually 2 episodes ago, right? Because
we kind of just did blend those last 2 episodes together.
Yeah.
Because the last episode actually
was the
fight.
fight.
Because I remember during the break was when I, Scott Shanesaw, did the planning for the battle, and then immediately the episode started with Kristoff being like, I see all the numbers and the shapes. I can see the patterns.
Yeah, because you guys saw the battle at the end of episode 26. But neither here nor there. Let's play D&D. So you find yourself in the cave. A cave filled with friends, acquaintances, faces you know, faces you don't know. And it's a shanty town of sorts. You have tents, torches. It's set up haphazardly. There are guards, but far fewer than you remember the town having. Svan is pulled to a medical tent, or the makeshift medical tent where some of the, disciples of the lead church are working on him, trying to recover him. He took quite a beating in the last fight. And what do you guys want to do? How do you guys want to interact with this group of people that has been beaten down?
I want to scope out the Magister.
Okay.
Can you tell me what that scene looks like?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a perception check for added details, and I'll pin it out.
Will do. That is a 17.
Okay, so you see the Magister talking to two people further near the back of the cave. And he's talking around a table with some papers laid across it, and he's standing on a stool that then allows him to stand over the table, which the two people next to him around the table are standing at normal height. And he's got his palms face down on the table looking over these plans. And the two people he's talking to you have seen before, but you don't know who they are. And the three of them are in a very, not heated, but stressed discussion.
2 questions. Are those 2 people armed? Do they look like guards?
Both of them, well, one of them has a weapon, and the other one looks like a very simple person.
Second question, does the table describe the table to me, please.
The table is a wooden construct of, it's essentially, the table is a piece of flat wood that they were able to find, and a stump.
Perfect. I'm going to walk over, I'm going to flip that table.
Alrighty then. So you walk over, Kristoff, making your way through tents with children and townsfolk looking up at you as you pass by. A man once wanted has just been told the rumor of a man once wanted now has rumors whispering through these tents that he is one of the few who fought off these monsters in defense of them and their town. You have mixed looks of disgust, confusion, and admiration as you walk over to what can only be considered a commander's table, and you flip it. The papers go flying. Go ahead. Is there something you want to say at the same time?
Yeah. I'm going to look at the Magister and go, what do you think you're doing?
As you flip or after?
So flip, and then I think I kind of put both hands down on the stump so that I'm kind of bending down and looking at him because he's a little guy. Even if he's on a stool, I feel like I'm taller than him. So I'm gonna pull down. I'm gonna get in his grill. Be like, what do you think you're doing?
And you're met swiftly with a hand to your chest. The man to your left is a half-orc, and he is in full combat armor. And you have a big monstrous hand on your chest compared to your tiefling frame. And he is just looking at you.
I don't blink.
I want to walk over and undercut that hand off of his chest and stand in front of Kristoff.
Roll
and just
a athletics check. Let me get out my dice.
That is a 13 plus... Oh, it's a 19.
Okay, so you walk up and you scoop your arm up under his, and when you do that, he takes your whole body and pushes you to the ground. And he looks at you. Now he has a hand on your shoulder, and his opposite hand now has a blade out at Kristoff's chest.
I still don't blink.
And the Magister looks at this scene that has unfolded and says, "That's enough, Kindo. That's enough. Let them go." And the orc, without speaking, slowly pulls the blade away from you Kristoff, but steps diagonal to you, almost putting himself in the way of you and the Magister, and he at the same time pushes Atlas backwards when he moves away. And the Magister says, "That was a bit dramatic, don't you think?"
I think relative to your people who suffer and die currently under your stewardship, I think I may have underreacted.
Those are big words from someone who wasn't here when it all went down. You don't think I know my people?
Who sent me on that mission, Magister?
I didn't tell you to take a week, did I? I told you to deliver their message and come back.
We were trying to build allies.
And I was trying to protect the town. So before you come to me with your attitude, when you know nothing of loss, nothing of the destruction that they bring on our town, you might do better to think of what you say before you speak.
I think that frost is rolling off of my hands onto the stump, and it's starting to just cover with a layer of frozen condensation. I say, do not speak to me of loss.
And he leans forward from the stool over your frosting hands and is 8 inches from your face and said, "Do not speak to me of loss. You may play your games with your quick words and your wit, but there's a town under siege. If you want to do something for it, keep a cool head and act like an adult."
You set me up so good, Dwayne! Oh, do I spike it? Do I put my hand on his head and go, "No, you keep a cool head," and freeze his brain? Oh. Or no, I can't do that. That would be it. Oh, but you set me up so good. When was the last time you stood at your castle gates?
5 days, 3 hours, and 34 minutes.
I was there a little more recently.
You were at the ruins of Gates. Don't talk to me of loss. Just because you came back from one battle? You think you can come in here and act like you have something new to say? I'm glad you're back, Kristoff. I am. But if this is how you're going to act, stow it. I don't have time for it.
So what's your plan then?
I'm glad you asked. And he leans back and Commander Kendo kind of relaxes a little bit. The tension's breaking to some degree. We're gonna have to close the gate. That's plan 1. That has to happen. The problem is, as you can tell, they're not easy to beat. It takes...
There are survivors in there.
Why do you think Svan and Findle and the squad that you just returned with was there? Do you think they went for a picnic, Kristoff? We know they're survivors. We know there are people hiding in the rubble.
Calm down. We all let our tempers get the best of us. That was on me. Fact of the matter is, still survivors in there, so closing the gates, right now, not an option.
You misunderstand me. I mean the gates that they came from, Kristoff. Not the gates to the town.
I see.
You're an idiot.
I thought he was saying close the gates and seal the city off and nuke it from orbit. I thought he was saying Oxbane is lost. Close the gates, seal them off. We'll trap
Burn
him
it to
in
the
there.
ground.
Sick bird.
And he looks at you and he says, I don't think we can win this head on. Not without reinforcements. But I do think we can sneak in and out and save who we can save. I know there are survivors. I know there are people missing from the town. I also know we've lost several people. And he looks away when he says this.
Luckily, reinforcements are on their way.
And he looks back and says, "What do you mean?"
I was able to get a message to the one of the great guilds of Yori, the Architects Guild, and explain our situation instantaneously as soon as we happened upon the scene.
And he kind of smiles and says, "Well, here's hoping that worked out. I know Fendel sent a message as well, but we haven't heard back from anyone. Hopefully they'll be here soon."
So, you said plan 1 was to close the gate. What's your other plans?
I mean, that is plan 1. That's
it's a really strong plan.
That's
the
a lot of hope on plan.
So we're banking on plan 1 being.
Remember
the
Armageddon?
Plan. Yes.
The solution is to close the gates. It's how we accomplish that that's a little bit trickier. Because, from what I'm told, and I admittedly have not fought one of them, they are not easy foes to take down. Chiringa and his squad have developed a method that, while unorthodox, works. But it also takes 4 of them to take one of them down without losing a person, for sure. Did you guys learn anything?
Can I roll a nature check to see exactly what I learned from my combat with them?
Sure.
Thank you. Well, that's a natural 18. See what my modifier, if any, is. Using D&D.
While he's doing that, I'll say, well, it seems very obvious that the thing to do is to cut the Achilles tendon, cut the legs down from underneath them, and then just attack the head.
And when you say that, the orc says, "Right. Taking out their legs. Thanks. But if you've noticed, they're not exactly the least armored piece on them."
You must be. You must have been raised by orcs completely, because you really said nothing there, except that I was right, and then that's kind of all you said.
All I'm saying, little pup, is that your idea is basic, and it offers nothing. So if you want to come in here with an attitude with your friend, you better bring something useful. And Magister Trestle says, "Kendo, they are friends, despite," and he puts a side eye to you, Kristoff, "their tempers. They're here to help." And Kendo
I did
snorts
notice one thing.
as Magister Trestle says that. Go on.
I noticed they attacked indiscriminately without fail. We were never in a scenario while we were inside the city gates in which they let us be or let us pass. On sight, they attacked. And as such, if that is their mindset, if they are, under orders or in animalistic will to attack and destroy, it sets us in an advantageous position to set a trap. Right now, their numbers are concerning, especially with their great strength, even as individuals. En masse, there's something that we can't really deal with. But if we were to arrange things in our favor, where we only had to deal with 1 or 2 at a time with a group of skilled fighters, then we could win.
And the most... before I go into this, Shane, with an 18, what you know and remember from both getting hit and watching Spawn get hit is that their blades harness necrotic damage on them.
And I'll say that as well as... In addition, we know that the main form of offense involves decaying magics, necrotic forces. With the aid of the Lead Church, that I know there are ways to dampen that.
And the most unassuming of the 3 speaks up. It's a man that you've seen.
He's the guy whose cart we snuck on. He's Farmer John.
You haven't really seen. He's a dark elf.
Oh.
And you've seen him in and out of the Golden Buckle, but he's never really... It's always like he's been in your peripheral vision, right? You kind of saw him, but you didn't really see him. And then he says, well, if the goal is to shut the gates, and we can't fight these things head on, it really only makes sense to sneak in, shut the gates, and then worry about pruning their numbers, because if what's Chiringa and Spawn and the other guards say is true, they keep coming. So the longer that gate's open, the more dangerous this whole situation becomes.
We're not going to be able to sneak in without a distraction, I don't think.
And this dark elf looks over towards a sleeping Findle, who's in the most cattywampus, he's in a chair, but it's leaned up against the wall, and he's upside down in it.
Yeah.
And he says, I think we could probably arrange that.
I know a guy.
I am probably not the most combat experienced here, but in my time, it seems like you cut off the head of the snake, as it were.
It's a very valid point. I am Christoph Shindo.
And he reaches out and shakes your hand, and he says, you can call me Vinley.
Finley. You are...
Vinley.
And
yep, sorry, that's not me.
What is your... You're not Eckenbar's boss, are you?
And he laughs and he says, oh, Eckenbar. It's cute. It's cute that you just assumed that. I'm a man who procures things, that's all.
Alright.
Do you have the stone that turns back time?
Oh yeah, I just haven't used it
that
since.
That would be great.
You're right. Now that you mention it, I did have... No. He says...
What about one that'll let you fly really fast, and I'll fly around the world backwards, and I'll make time go backwards that way?
Ooh,
everyone knows that's not possible from the Superman movie. Come on, Christoph. And... Sorry, he says, I procure things. And the Magister says, he's always really sketchy about his job.
Oh, no, for sure. Got it. Looking like a Red from Shawshank Redemption.
I'm a man who gets things.
Knows how to get things. I've been known to locate an item from now and then.
And he shrugs and says, maybe my opinion doesn't matter, but that's just how I would handle it.
It's a valiant effort. It's a good point. I wasn't aware of that circumstance that they were flooding the gates, as it were. It seems pretty straightforward. Then we're gonna go get our boo-boos tended. Findle is gonna finish his nap, and then it'll go blow some shit up, and we'll go close your gates for you.
And the half-orc says, you may want to take someone with you.
Oh, yeah. Everyone you've got.
Well, agreed, except for this needs to be stealth. And my people aren't exactly trained for that. They're more...
that's why you're with Findle.
Yeah, no, agreed. I'm more worried about you three going in alone.
We've got to
us three going in alone? We can't be alone when there's three of us.
And he looks at you,
and
he starts counting, and goes, that adds up.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, it'll be us, our two halfling friends, Taringa, and our tiefling friend.
And he looks at you and looks at the Magister, and the Magister says, well, we have to try something while we wait on reinforcements.
The worst case scenario, we die horribly.
And he kind of smiles, looking at Atlas when he says that. Fair.
What's that? I don't even want to talk to you right now.
I think he was calling you fair, like you're pretty.
I don't think that's what it was at all.
Maybe that's just my opinion.
Alone he rode an orc so fair, with
the
beautiful
Magister-
tusks and flowing hair.
The Magister says, maybe you should go and see Luna. She could probably go with you.
What is a Luna?
A Luna is a person, as it were. She's a gnome, and she's been studying at the Go Academy.
Oh.
Did you
I
say
have-
Goat Academy?
I have heard many things about the Go Academy. That's a 17 on my history check.
From the Arcane Wars.
Well, you know that the Go Academy practices or teaches the art of Go, which is a form of combat very, very specific to Orenthal. And it essentially, they always fight unarmed, no matter who they're fighting.
Is this fantasy Krav Maga?
It's fantasy Krav Maga.
Anyways.
I want that.
Yes, I've heard, of course, everyone who's in reading on Orenthal knows about your famous martial arts Go. And if she studied at the academy, she would be a great help to our effort.
Perfect. Find her. I don't know that her master made it back, but she would be helpful all on her own, I think.
If you'll excuse me for a moment. Hey, yo, Luna! Where are you?
Luna!
And while you don't see anybody stand up, you hear a here.
Sweet. I'll head over there.
Okay. And so you depart from the commander's table and head over to where you hear the present call.
I hang back for like just a second.
Okay.
I don't suppose this is a good time to talk about our station, huh? That we were promised. I'll come back. Then follow.
And Trestle
Promised Golden Station, but we'll get there.
laughs and says, well, when the town's back, we'll talk about it.
Excellent. And I follow.
And so you come up on a gnome with, like yellow hair, not blonde, but yellow hair, in one long braid, but long for a gnome is not a whole lot. And she looks up and says, hi, I don't think I've met any of you.
I am Christoph Schindler.
I do. And she shakes your hand and says, ah, yes, actually I do remember. Wanted posters.
They didn't do our likeness well.
That's very true.
I pull out my scrapbook.
I'm Atlasvaria.
And she reaches up a hand to shake both of your hands and introduces herself as, she says, I am Luna Erin. Our view shifts to a large mirror on the wall. Its base rests on the floor, and it stretches 10 feet up and 5 feet wide. The mirror reveals a threshold opposite it, a doorway trimmed in stone, runes etched on each stone. Through the mirror we see Council Shear and Wendy approach the mirror. Show me Oxbane today, Council Shear commands the mirror. The edges of the mirror's golden frame begin to glow. The mirror begins to let out a low hum. Council Shear reaches into her pocket and pulls forth a small blue stone with a symbol etched on it. Once the stone is revealed, the mirror's golden frame lights up with runic symbols. The mirror begins to ripple, and then a clear image of Oxbane is presented. Oxbane's buildings are in a ruin, and there is smoke and flame rising from it into the air. Flashes of fire and light appear from the north of the town. Get me closer to the north where those lights are flashing, Wendy gasps. The image changes in a blink. The silent image of our heroes fighting the towering monsters is displayed. Council Shear and Wendy watch as Justicar's spawn is struck down, blood filling the air. Kristoff runs to his side. They can see the rest of the battle as well. All of the monsters fighting against the citizens of Oxbane. That's enough, Council Shear commands. The mirror winks the image out of sight, revealing Council Shear and Wendy once more. What are we going to do? Wendy asks, her reflection in the mirror concerned. Everything we can, Council Shear replies. A view fades on the mirror as the pair exits the room.
Aaron. Why do I know that name?
History check.
It's my last name.
Full history check. That is a 12.
You know that Aaron is her last name?
That's her last name, Kristoff. That's why you heard it. You just heard it.
Cool.
I love that's gonna be my favorite contrast is Kristoff going, and it's this and this and this, and Atlas giving the most simple explanation for it. Kristoff, you just heard it. That's where you heard it.
That's where you heard it.
Remember that cave we were in?
Remember that cave and all the refugees, just a few seconds ago?
Very, very well. We have just now returned from Yori, and we are gonna go close those big bad guy doors, and we heard that you might want to come because you know Kung Fu.
And she laughs and she says, I'm not sure what Kung Fu is, but...
it's the martial arts of silence. That's why you probably never heard of it. But it is our equivalent of Go.
I doubt that, but it sounds like Kung Fu is combat, a combat style.
Specifically with punching and kicking.
We have that, but I'm not sure they're the same. But yeah, I would love to help.
Well, make whatever preparations you need. We're going to go get our boo-boos treated, and then we are waiting for Findle to wake up from his nap, and then we shall sally forth.
And she goes, Findle's coming with us?
No, he's the distraction.
Yeah, he'll be in the north while we're in the south.
Just expect cackling and explosions while we go and do the thing.
As long as it's not near us. That was kind of my concern.
Far in the distance.
Perfect.
Does he stick his hands in your mouth too?
And she looks at you and goes, no?
Yeah, I'll see the...
He's obsessed with my feet. Duh. Orcs and tiefling are teeth. Gnomes are feet. Everyone knows that.
He stumbles over me a lot. Why does that seem like that added up
like
for
a thing
you
that would
guys?
Findle doesn't really surprise us. Okay.
And she says,
Every Thursday he chases pigs around the yard. We don't know why, he just does it. Alright, that's fact.
He just does it. He makes weird ham biscuits out of magic. They have tentacles for some reason.
Well, I'm ready when you guys are. I'll just work on getting some rest and you come find me.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop over to the lead church. My boo-boos need attending.
I'm gonna just take a nap.
I mean, you have options. What do you guys want to do?
Sleep for a full day. Here.
Okay. Well, people are dying, so we don't really have that luxury.
They are getting eternal sleep.
No, it's terrible. The war is terrible, but just wake me up in 6 to 8 hours.
In 8 hours, once I have finished one long rest, I will be ready to go.
Then we'll deal with that whole town thing. Okay, so you guys want to go to the lead church?
If that's where we can get boo-boos healed. Yes.
Yeah, you can absolutely get boo-boos healed at the lead church. So you guys
walk back into the city and find the burned down lead church.
No, we're going to specifically the lead church refugee tent.
Yeah, I know. I got what you meant, and it's way funnier in Alex's version. So, like I said,
I guess we're going all the way to the church.
So you see a steward there, and you see this woman, and she is very young. She's in her early 20s, and she's got blonde hair, blue eyes, and she looks like she's 15. And sitting next to her, reading a book, one of the church holy texts, you see Dylan.
Dylan Martin!
And he looks up and goes, oh, it's you guys! You made it!
Get down on one knee, open my arms up for a hug.
And he drops his book and just leaps into your arms. And he says,
glad you're okay, buddy!
I thought you guys were goners for sure!
I thought I saw your corpse in the streets.
And he, as you, sit him down, he looks and he goes, no, mister, that wasn't me.
No, it was another little boy from the lead church. He was probably your friend, but not you. You survived. You're a trooper.
And you just see his eyes starting to water up. What?
I mean, you're going to be a hero one day. You're a survivor.
You're going to be a hero.
I don't think those are the same things, sir.
I mean, life's what you make it, kid.
No, the survivor literally writes the history books. Do whatever you want. You want to be the hero? Go nuts.
And then the woman next says, can you not antagonize the child?
This is my little friend Dylan.
Yeah, this is Dylan.
He's
we know
obviously
him.
upset.
I mean, wouldn't you be upset if big monsters kill all your friends?
And she looks at you and says, yeah, I would be.
I think she's not sad because she didn't have any friends.
Stow the gallows.
Because a lot of them had to have died.
Everybody relax. Okay, that's exactly right.
And she looks at you, Atlas.
Welcome
and
to the
says,
club. We want to stop the monsters just as much as you do.
Did die.
Help us.
Yeah, so we need Boo Boo sealed. If you could just please treat our wounds, we will be on our way.
And she looks at all three of you and sighs, and she says,
I don't like that I'm your best last hope either.
If I didn't have to,
I know.
You're a good person, obviously.
But you do have to, and I don't care about your opinions otherwise. Healy, Healy, Healy.
And she says, Sinler has a plan for everyone.
Ooh. I'm sorry? Sinler Firestone?
Sinlor has a plan for everything.
Who?
Religion check, please?
Go ahead.
14? Do not believe I have a modifier. Confirmed, no modifier.
So, you don't know much, but you have definitely heard of Sinlor before. You know that when people talk about Sinlor, they commonly say Sinlor the Just. And she says, it's not my job to say where you will and won't end up. That's his. And I'll set aside how I feel to hopefully take our town back.
I tap the ring on my finger. I already know where I end up. It's pretty lame.
And she says, okay.
I've been there. It's
Well,
not great.
you don't know.
I don't think you know. I trust in Sinlor and what I know. And she says, I'll heal you all as much as I can. And she starts with you, Kristoff.
My body is ready.
And the way this is going
Give me them heals.
You restore 50% of your missing hit points.
Of my missing hit points or max hit points?
Maximum hit points, excuse me.
Perfect, because I was half down. Lovely. Thank you very much.
And so she puts her hands to your chest, and you see her eyes. They begin to glow this soft golden hue, and her hands feel warm, and all your boo-boos and owies go away.
That was refreshing. Thank you very much.
And she snaps out of like almost this trance, and she says, "Thanks, Sinlor. It's through him that I can do this."
Thank you, Sinlor.
And she nods approvingly, and she steps to Atlas, and she does the same thing. She puts her hands together, and her eyes begin to glow, and you can kind of hear her saying a prayer. And go ahead and restore 50% of your maximum hit points. And she steps over to Rowan, and she looks you over and says, "You look fine now."
She touches you, her hands immediately burn and recoil. Oh God!
She puts up both hands, and her hands begin to glow, and her eyes begin to glow. Okay, you restore 2%. Not 2%. 10% of your maximum hit points. And she says,
Hype.
She stops and she takes a breath and she's panting, and she says, "I hope that helps."
It super did. Thank you.
And she says, "Good luck. May Sinlor, well, may he choose for you. May you walk down whatever path he has in mind for you."
I will choose for me, but you take care of Dylan. Thank you very much.
That's stuff.
And she turns back and she sits next to Svan, and she begins looking over his wounds.
Oh, how's he looking, by the way?
Not great.
Look like he's gonna live?
I mean, he's gonna live, but he was super messed up. And as you can see, her just restoring 3 of you guys really wiped her out. Yeah. She has been tending to his wounds to stabilize him, but pulling him all the way back, doing you guys, would just...
Can Rowan give him a bardic inspiration on his next death roll?
So she's trying to just help.
It's about for Svan. Just give him that extra.
Rolls, but if you'd like to do that, you can.
Don't do that.
This is just...
No, yeah, okay. Yes, you can do that.
No, I'm not giving him my bardic.
I'm just gonna walk over to him, and I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder.
And
I'm gonna say, "Get well, friend." And I'm just gonna lay on hands of the one little HP.
Okay. So you do that, and what color would you say that your hands like when?
Silver.
Silver.
As all things silver.
Okay. So when you do that, she looks up at you and she says, "Who do you serve?"
"I serve the people."
And she says, "I didn't
know. I knew you were going to do that."
People.
I already introduced myself.
Because you're looking right at him.
And she looks and she says, They don't come as grand as they used to, huh?"
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, what I really say is, I don't serve a god. I never have, nor do I think I ever will. But I have sworn an oath to the deepest core of me that I will protect the people from those who are entrusted to take care of them and yet fail to do so. That is my strength.
And she stands up and she puts a hand on your shoulder and she says, "I hope you find Sinlor in your journey, because it sounds like you and him have quite a bit in common." And right as you do that, you kind of feel this otherworldly presence, just for a split moment. And she says, "Good luck."
That was deeply disconcerting. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
I leave because I do not feel good. I feel like I need a shower.
All right, moving on. What do you
I don't believe in the gods. So if I just had a brush against one in my psyche and my soul, I do not like it. It feels icky.
All right. Well, what do you guys want to do next, boys?
Let's get a move on.
They're all healed. They're partially healed. They're
partially.
How's everybody looking?
Anybody
need a short rest?
And Chiringa walks over and says, I just talked to Commander Kendo. When are we leaving?
As soon as Findle wakes up.
Findle's good.
And she motions to Jodo, and Jodo goes, like, leans back, shakes his head. Not me, not this time. And all of a sudden, you see Gidgeiza, Lance, and Jodo all put their hands to their nose as quickly as possible.
Touch my nose.
Touch my nose.
And Tringa touches his nose.
And we all look at Atlas.
And then Tringa goes, Atlas?
Rules is rules.
Rules is rules.
All right, so I'm going to walk over to him.
Please.
And I imagine I tap him several times, and like in my head, it just does not work. And then I whisper like, I'll let you touch my teeth. And immediately that would spring him to life. I don't know if that's the case.
I think you walk over, and as soon as you tap him,
oh god,
you can just see like drool coming from his mouth, like over his face, like because he's upside down. And then you tap him again, and you hear what? And he looks up and he goes, "Ooh, hi!"
Pull back. He's gonna have to fall out of that chair to get.
He goes, "Go ahead." He super scrambles to his feet, and he starts going crazy. Let me make sure there's nothing broken. There's quite a battle. And he like...
and he pulls I'm certainly better now that I checked out.
How are you at?
You haven't heard the plan, but we're ready to go to the door where the monsters are coming out. We need you to run as a distraction. Kristoff probably has more intricate details for you, but we need to be ready to go as soon as possible.
And he puts a hand on your shoulder and says, That sounds great, Atlas. It's really good that you're
I'm kind of the brains of this operation, but don't say anything to anyone else.
It's good to see you in charge, friend.
Oh, thank goodness. He's always been a good friend.
It'll be our little secret. And he says, you should probably get the commander. I don't really need any of them. Not if I'm just going to be the distraction.
All right.
I'll probably end up hurting someone.
Okay. I think we're good. Kristoff, are we ready to go?
Okay. Then I'm good if you're good.
All right.
Yeah, we need to talk to the commander.
And Findle looks at you,
Atlas?
like, expectantly.
Well, I kind of laid out the plan. He's just following through with it. So we'll go talk to the commander and see what he's got to say.
And you see Findle shake his head. Well, there's always next time, my boy. And Findle starts heading towards the entrance of the cave where Kristoff and Tringa and the other group are. And you are going to head towards the commander.
I'm heading to the commander as well.
Yes, I'm going to talk to him as well.
Yeah.
So you and Atlas, do you go to the commander, or do you have a choice? Alright, you and Kristoff go to the commander, and Commander Kendo looks at you, and again, full armor, and says, what?
So I've thought about it. If you're around Findle, you'll probably just get your men hurt. His magic is unstable. So if you could just dispatch some of your finest guardsmen along with us, you will help us fight to the entrance to where the gates are, and then stand watch there. Your position will be unfortunately paramount, for if demons come up before we come up, it means that we failed, and you need to get that information back to the Magister as soon as possible.
And he says, so we'll serve as a form of exfil.
Exactly right. Infill and exfil. That's your role.
Perfect. And he says, well, whenever you're ready, and walks past you and starts rounding up guards.
Luna?
and you see a gnome walk out from the tents and into the main pathway that has been made in the cave. Like, you imagine rows of tents and just a main path that everyone uses. And she says, "I'm ready if you are."
Let's light this shit candle.
And she says, "Okay," and starts walking towards the exit of the cave. And we paint the picture of Atlas, Rowan, and Kristoff at the edge of the cave, standing in front of Commander Kendo, this large brown half-orc in full battle armor with 2 blades across his back. You see Chiringa in tattered guard armor with his sword and shield. You see Gidgaiza and Jodo, who are both wearing leather armor and have daggers at their sides and small swords on their backs. And you see Lance, the tiefling bard, in, traveling clothes, holding himself almost aloof at what is about to transpire. And then you see Findle, who, for the first time you have ever seen, has a small dragonling on his shoulder. A small silver gray dragonling on his shoulder. And you can see the tents behind them, and you can see the pain and the desperation as your squad makes their way out of the cave. And that's where we're going in this episode.
I want to give a speech.
No, you can give your speech at the start of the next episode, so it'll be more inspirational.
Oh, okay.
So stow it. And that's where we'll end.
Already?
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah,
that's a real
Thank you so much for listening.
We're super good at this outro, just like we're good at the intro.
Okay, got it. We're really in the story right now. We know we're playing another episode, so we're all thinking about what we're going to do next. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for reviewing this on iTunes. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for interacting with us on social. Thank you so much for joining our new Discord channel. Super hype. We're having just so much fun on the Discord channel. All those that have already joined us, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us in the Discord channel. For anybody who wants to get in on that sweet, sweet Discord action and hang out with us all the time, you can go to our website, lawfulstupid.org. On the very front page there's a button. I made it myself out of magic. It says, "Come join us on Discord." You click that, you're in. There's like a $10 cover at the door, but you'll be fine. I know the bouncer will get you in for free.
Thanks for spending time with us and letting us spend time with you.
That's true. I've enjoyed the Discord chats quite a lot. And if you haven't checked out our website, you should. We've got fan art there. We've got a link to the store, and the store has some really cool...
just the best swag.
Yeah, it's got some cool t-shirts, and we're planning more and more stuff. If you want to support this podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can always do Patreon, but you can always buy shirts too. That supports us as well. And frankly...
And you get a sweet t-shirt.
Yeah, you get a sweet, sweet t-shirt. Especially if you order the DM t-shirt. I think that's the best shirt, personally.
I think the
maybe the
shirt
Atlas shirt. I think Atlas gives you advantage on all rolls, no matter what game you're playing, wherever you play around the world. Just so your DM, that's the rule.
Narcissism is a sin, Devin. Narcissism
is a
sin.
When you go to ask for a raise, just wear your Atlas t-shirt, and you'll get advantage on your charisma saving throw there. So, I mean, that is facts. Don't tell any friends.
If you're wearing a Kristoff t-shirt and you see me in real life, you get an automatic success on all your hug and high five.
Speaking of Patreons,
sexual advances,
patrons,
we'll probably also give you $5.
We'll go ahead and give a shout out to Rachel Todd. She is one of our $20 tier. She's so funny, so hilarious. She's the one that joined us early on in our Discord channel. It's a pleasure hanging out with her. Oh, yeah. I mean, she was a fan before fans were fans.
But she joined us on our Instagram before there was a show. Yeah, we hadn't released an episode yet, and we were trying to build an Instagram presence, and she was gracious enough to accept our invite and enjoy our memes, and we...
this just did 27.
Sticking with us. 20, how many? 27? 28?
By the time this will be episode 28.
28
And then that
episodes
goes to
later,
say
so
we had two more at the
that.
$10 tier. That's Lance Johnson, who is
Thank you so much.
he's one of the NPCs you hear happening right now. He's the tiefling. And then Kyle Pender, new good friend of ours who is hanging out with us in Discord and chit-chatting with us. And so it's been a pleasure. We thank you guys very much for supporting the show.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. So this is what we're going to call it for tonight.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, we love you. Oh, wait, no, I gotta roll for humanity.
That's the roll for humanity.
Woo. So once again, our Patreons get to actually help us decide who is going to be the charity that receives the money for the month of July. So there's going to be some voting, there's going to be some stuff. Our new Patreons get to submit that. So I don't know who this is going to yet, but along with the rest of the rolls for July, an additional $8 goes to that charity of your choice.
See you.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
We are storytellers.
We are creators.
We are gamers.
We are dreamers.
We are players.
We are players.
We are players.
We are DMs.
We are nerdsmith.